I'm Jack Livingston, and this is an installation that I've been working on for 3 years as part of this MFA program at Towson University. So here it is, up and finally finished. You can't hear it now, but usually there's a racket coming out of in there. There's a lot of sound, and there's video and audio, and there's text, and there's photographs, and paintings, and prints, and drawings, and a lot of found objects, a lot of made objects, a lot of different kinds of guitars, and all put together into one thing. It's called Falling Off the Edge of Nebraska. 3 years ago, when I started this program, none of this existed, and I was just making black paintings of the horizon. And what I was doing was making paintings of driving across Nebraska, thinking about the many times that I drove between Denver and Chicago, which is 1,000 miles. Straight through. They built the interstate system when I was a kid, and so then you could take it straight through, fast. And often I would drive it without stopping with a friend. And if you do that, first of all, it's just this. You drive overnight. That's what I usually do, and it'd be magnificent, and you would have a special bond with whoever you did that with. But the first time that we drove from Denver to Chicago, I was not so happy. It was a hard move. Actually, we went to Hannibal, Missouri, then we went to Chicago. I left Denver. I'd grown up in Denver. I was born in far western Nebraska, grew up in Denver. Moved to Aurora, Illinois when I was 16. My parents moved on, and I stayed there until I was 25. The people pictured here behind me are the people that were in, some of the people, there were many people there that were in my life that were important to me. And Ken, the person over here, is probably the most important right now. I knew him from the time I was in grade school. And he was my best friend. He was a sensitive guy that played guitar, and all the guitars in here, and really the show is kind of an homage to him. But I moved there, and then I moved out when I was 16, and it was a time of transformation. And I think Kenny and I grew up in the suburbs of Denver, but always we were enthralled with the popular music of, rock music of the era, and with guitars and a kind of what we were looking for was a way to break out of the script that was clearly written for everyone at that time, which it was a pretty conservative time, but not unlike forever, I guess. But we looked to other people, to outsiders, the sort of hobos and alcoholics and bums down on Larimer Street, which was this street that's now a tourist area, that he and I used to go when we were 12. We would meet these people, but there was something within their lives that was free of this drift into middle-class conformity that we were confronted with at that time, that then we continued on. And I think with this group of people in Aurora, was able to kind of break through, and then that came undone, and then we moved on. So the show is about, that's the sort of core origin story. as a group of kids sort of, growing up and then moving on and using the highway as, and the art that was, available to them, which was the popular music of the time. And I think of all time, I think popular music is the most democratic form and should be studied, and just like any art history. And so we've found it transformative in the figures within it, musicians of all kinds, rock, jazz, pop, everything, to be heroic figures that sort of showed that there was another way to do things. And, the people found art and books, and, we found our way. These people didn't have college, they didn't go to university. That wasn't part of the script. They were mostly from, blue-collar backgrounds, working-class backgrounds. And so they transformed their own lives. And I was there to witness that, bear witness to it, and that's the subject of this. Now, I'm interested in this autobiography account, but I'm also well aware that how I'm portraying it is fractured, and it's through images and objects and different things, and so it's not a linear story, and it's not a story of facts. It is like a fractured dream view of memory coming back. But I think in that way it's transformative, like any origin story, and it becomes for everyone. It can be everyone's story in that way. So even though it chronicles this particular time and these people, and it comes out of my experience, I certainly added elements and things to it to make a better story, or to heighten things. And that became a core concern of everything that I did as I built and found all of the objects that are here. There may be some confusion when people walk around and they're like, well, this is just stuff picked up off the highway. I think things that we find, if there's one part of it's getting in a car and going somewhere fast, another part's getting out of a car and looking close. It's macro, micro. And if we get out of the car and we look at what people have left behind, the debris on the side of a highway, it fascinates me. Shredded tires are beautiful. A rusted muffler that's been left there in the grass has a story to it that's just as poignant as any of the cars that are going by. And so I've collected those for a period of time, and they commingle in here with all of the other things. And then there's a set of them that are all connected and mic'd up for sound, so if they can be played. And they become sound machines, like the guitars are sound machines of transformation. The guitars are very specific guitars that Ken and I were obsessed with, that are sort of the canon of guitars, and that's a Gibson SG, a Les Paul, a Fender Stratocaster, and a Telecaster. And then there's offshoots of that are are sitting around. And we studied those guitars when I was young and knew sort of the sounds that they made and who used them. They really were important instruments of transformation. So they're all here. All of the stuff is here. And it's been put together for you to come in and experience it. I'm thinking about Falling Off the Edge of Nebraska as a title, which it is about going somewhere and then falling off, on that journey. That's what you have to do to grow. But ultimately, what happened here, what happened with all these people, is can be summed up in a line that a friend of mine sent to me to use for this. The line is, what love does to us. And after putting the show up and after thinking about it more than anything, I think what the show is about, it's about what love ultimately does to us.